The biggest late model stock car win of his young racing life, Brenden wins the South Carolina 400 at Florence.
We see what you're accomplishing over there. Like, we have this idea, we want to run it by you, but we want to help you, and we want to help you get to the next level. Is that something you're interested in? And I'm like, of course.
Brenden Butterbean Queen is going to win the 21st annual North-South Shootout.
I won the championship in 21, and then that winter, I'm trying to decide, you know, I want to go for 3 championships, but I also, in December, I get a phone call from the Port of Virginia that's, you know, telling me that I have been selected to have a job there because I had applied. You know, I was 3rd generation, so it's a big deal. It's hard to get in there unless you got family or something. So I got the call and they're like, we're gonna go over some training, but it's all gonna start in January. So January starts and I go and do all the training. And so in the meantime, I'm trying to get trained for as much as I can, and I'm having to pick up jobs every morning. You get up, check in on the phone and put your name in the window and try to get a job. And we were working 7 days a week because they were short on workers, so it was really hard to get off work. I got into that rotation about March, right before the season started. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work. Like, not a pity party, but like, I'm tired. I'm working 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. In the meantime, I end up getting to drive the dirt car for the Staten family, and I'm gonna race Langley for the championship. So now I'm like, all right, I'm racing Friday night at Dixieland, I'm racing Saturday night at Langley, and I'm working 7 days a week. Like, how's this gonna happen? And I'm thinking to myself in my head, like, how am I gonna keep doing this? But I'm up here living on a high because I'm winning. 2022, altogether, I won 17 races, 2 championships. I had won the first two or three races at Langley, and the Cars Tour race was coming up in June. And I'm like, I'm not running it. Like, I don't have the money to run it. I don't have the time to run it. I'm not even gonna try to get off work. Like, just not gonna do it. And I remember my sponsor, the Old School Video Games, they were like, you need to run it. I'm like, I can't. They're like, well, we'll buy the tire, we'll help you out, whatever. The deadline to sign up for the race is the day I signed up. I wasn't gonna run it, but I signed up on the last day before the penalty fee. And we're like, all right, well, we're gonna take our backup car. We're not gonna run the one we've been winning with. So we take the other car over there, and I remember I made like 2 laps of practice. It might even been none. I pulled out of the pits, it started leaking. I literally pulled out, leaked oil all the way around the track, and pulled right back into pits. So we go to the shop and we're gonna fix it. We get to the shop, we unload, and we're sitting there looking at the car that we've been winning with, and we're like, all we have to do is bolt the carburetor back on it and load it up. And I remember my dad's like, no. And then all the guys and me took a vote, and we're like, who wants to race it? And we're all like, so he was so mad. I remember telling my dad, well, if we win with this car, don't even cut a victory lane, dude, because you don't want us to race it, right? Like, we're joking. We load it up, we go back. I was next to last in practice because I had no tires. I had old tires. I couldn't afford a practice set. Bolt on our qualifying tires. I qualified 3rd. I'm like, okay, now my confidence went back up because I'm like, all right, the car is gonna be fine. I dropped back to like next to last, and then I drove from next to last back to win it. Luckily, I did get a caution. I was probably gonna run 2nd because I got back to 2nd and Quapple was a little bit out, and we got a caution with 5 to go. And then I was able to move him coming to the white, and all I led was the final lap. I win that race, and I had been winning in the dirt car. I was leading the points at Dixieland, and John Staten and Lori Staten called me and said, we've been watching you for a couple years, like, you've been driving our dirt car. We see what you're accomplishing over there. Like, we have this idea, we wanna run it by you, but we wanna help you. And we want to help you get to the next level. Is that something you're interested in? And I'm like, of course, but like, there's no way. Like, it costs too much. I just got this job. Like, I can't just leave, and I can't get off work. And he said, well, let's have a meeting. Let's talk about it. Come over to the house. And basically I went over there, and you know, I remember John sitting down with me and like, we're gonna fund it. You wanna go Cars Tour racing next year? Like, what do we need? What's the next step? And I said, I felt like I needed to go Cars Tour racing at least a year to prove myself. At first, John was like, we'll buy the equipment. You know, you and Phil just run it out of here. I told him, I'm like, I just don't think we can do that and be competitive. Nothing against Phil or myself, but there was a tire shortage. We were gonna go to all these tracks we didn't know. We had no notes. He's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, we need to call Lee Pulliam.
His own 03 car at Valton, Virginia, Lee Pulliam. And Lee Pulliam is spraying champagne.
I felt like if I could drive one of his cars with his knowledge and his work ethic, nothing against Phil, because Phil did tremendous. Phil's like another dad to me. Like, he helped raise me. You know, Phil's a big part of my career that sometimes gets overlooked or overshadowed, and I still talk to Phil, and he's one of my biggest supporters. So we called Lee. Said I hadn't talked to him since I wrecked him. And I told John, I said, I don't know if he'll answer my phone call. Like, because last time I talked to him was before I knocked Heim out of the way. Like, I don't know if he's gonna answer the phone. I said, but I will call him. And he answered it the first time. And I remember telling him, like, you know, hey, would you be willing to field me a car? And it took him a second, and he's like, yeah. Like, yeah, we could do it. I said, because I got a partner that's serious. And I know Lee knew my situation wasn't the best financially, so I don't think he knew if I was for real or not. That was June, July range. I didn't actually meet in person with Lee till after the Wilkesboro Revival race. We left the Wilkesboro race and went to a shop the next day. But in the meantime, I'm still winning at Langley. I'm winning at Dixieland. I'm leading the points at both places. The hardest part about this all is I know I'm probably gonna have to leave my job, but trying to like tell my dad, trying to tell everybody like they just got me in there. I sound like an absolute idiot. I'm gonna leave this job where I'm set for life to go race late model stock on the Cars Tour where I'm not making any money. And I hope that someone picks me up. All this is a hope, a prayer, like that this is gonna happen. But I know I will regret it for the rest of my life if I don't go do this. And the Statons told me they're not gonna let me fall. August, we go and meet with Lee. We leave there. John's like, I'm good to sign it if you want to sign it. We signed the deal. So I'm like, all right, I have a ride for next year. Now I gotta tell work that I'm leaving. That was tough. We ended up winning the championship at Dixieland with 5 wins. I won the Langley Speedway Late Model Stock Championship, 3rd in a row, which was tying a record. October hits, I leave my job. I'm like, all right, all eyes are on Cars Tour. Well, we end up adding a race with Lee to go run the South Carolina 400 just to get a race in with Lee before the season. It's the first race that the Statons are funding for me. So they come down there, they bring the motor home, they're at the track, everybody's having a good time, and I'm like, this is pressure. Like, if I don't win in Lee's cars, there's no shot of me ever getting to the next level. Like,
For the biggest late model stock car win of his young racing life, Brenden Queen wins the South Carolina 400 at Florence.
I just had this breath of fresh air, really, of like, it is gonna work. I have to make it happen. And I think that's why I drove the way I did for those years, was because I had no other choice. I had to win, I had to perform, I had to do it all because I didn't have any other option. I mean, it's my first big win away from Langley beside East Carolina stuff, but this is a crown jewel, 60 cars there, you know, you have to make the show. You know, with Lee, the sky is the limit. I'm glad I got that experience at the port because I think it made me value a dollar differently and value how hard it is to make money, and just changed my attitude and my outlook on everything in life, and just how thankful I was to drive a race car, knowing that I might not drive a race car full time anymore. You know, super cool. And another thing is, like, I'm leaving out, but my parents, you know, they just have supported my career all the way up to that until I went to Lee. You know, the sacrifices they made and the hours they worked, and, you know, it gets overlooked too because I did get sponsors, but like, you know, there was stuff that we didn't go do as a family because we were spending on racing. So our summer vacations every week we're at the racetrack. So I wouldn't change it. You know, we raced as a family, we won as a family. So I remember we won the Battle of the Stars early in the year. We ran good at the first start of the Cars Tour season, but I was going to places I hadn't been. Wilkesboro was the turning point of the season.
Brenden Queen wins the Window World 125.
That was a huge win for Lee, for me, for everybody, getting to ride the elevator. That was like what sparked the momentum. I had a new crew chief, Doug Powers, at the time, and his confidence was getting more and more each week. And I told him he could do it from day one, but I just remember seeing the progress of him throughout the year. And we won Wilkesboro. That was the day that it was like, all right, we're let's go to work here. And I remember we went, sat on the pole at DeSoto 200 and led 90-something laps, finished second. We won the Hampton Heat for the second time, and ironically, I was in the car that I had wrecked to win the first one, so that was cool, getting to win Leah Hampton Heat and being in front of my hometown crowd at that time, and B Nation was growing. Tri-County is probably the biggest heartbreaker of the year. We're dominating the race, got a penalty, went to the rear, drove back to the lead, and 20 to go, I'm out front, checked out, and I'm like, we're gonna win the 30,000. Didn't even have a thought in my mind that I was gonna run out of gas.
Oh, he might be out of fuel. They split him 3 wide as Butterbean Queen looks as though he may have lost the power plant.
It cost us the Car Store Championship, but I tried to look at it as we didn't lose it because of that race. There was other races we could have finished 3 or 4 spots different, and I remember we were 30-something points back with 4 races to go, and we won Goodyear. South Boston, I think we were 4th, and then Tri-County, we got Redemption, got the pole, led every lap. Caraway got the pole and led every lap, and we lost the championship by 5. And I don't know what hurts more, clawing back and being that close and losing, or not clawing back and losing. I think I'd rather be that close and lose, but I think it just fueled me because it was a heartbreaker for the guys, but I try to be a leader and just lift them up like, we'll come back stronger. And at the time, I didn't know if I was running Car Store again, or I didn't know yet, but like also proud of what we accomplished, and then knew we were gonna go run the 400 in the Classic, and 23 was an awesome year, and I think that's the year that put me on the map as a late model guy throughout the nation, especially through Flow Racing. They did the vlogs with me and changed my life for real, and that's what helped grow B Nation. But 23 was definitely insane season with a lot of highs, some lows, but a lot of highs. I remember getting out of that truck and hearing the crowd just go ballistic, and I thought it was for Corey, and then they're like, no, that's for you. I proved I can do it. I proved that I could show up and run with the guys that do it every week. I tell him all the time, he changed my life.